Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, where we discuss the latest and greatest news in the world of sports. I am Ben.
I'm Alex.
And we are back here again with another episode of the podcast.
Yes, we are.
So today, California, Tuesday, it is voting day. Are you going to vote?
Oh, geez, I forgot. I have, like I said, I ripped my shoelace of my dress shoes before I got here, so I have to go get those replaced because I'm not doing this tomorrow. And then I work again right after that. And I have another paper I have to get over to a prospective job.
So that shoelace story is great. So Alex actually, his shoelace on his shoes actually ripped on his way in.
It started to tether for like the encasing of the normal lace ripped at one point or another. I'm not quite I don't know when exactly it happened. And I went to like tie my shoes. You know that like little, like you get them all, and then you go to cross them and you yank. And I yanked, it just went rip.
Just yanked a little too hard there.
I guess.
So you're not voting today?
I would like to try to.
I'm not going to vote today. I mean, I think I'll vote in the real election in November. Yeah. Everything's pretty much set in stone now, so.
For the most part, yeah. These are just, I think, the primaries.
Exactly. So it sucks how we have to vote so late with us being such a big state.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh well.
If I get the chance to, I might. I think there's a place right next to my neighborhood. Or I think my girlfriend's neighbors, I think, even. Like do
they run like in their garage?
Yeah. Actually, they do.
They have one of those down the street from my house.
I didn't even know that was a thing, and I like that you know that because I definitely didn't.
Yeah, I've gone before with my mom when I was younger. Literally just like walking to go vote like down the street.
Yeah, no, I mean, I drove to the one. We were a retirement home next to us, and they do it there. But I don't know. I completely forgot. Honestly, I really did.
It happens, bud. Don't worry about it. Don't beat yourself up.
I really won't. But are you? You said you're not going to vote?
No, I think I'll vote. I think I'll vote November. Everything's pretty much set in stone now. What's the point of voting right now?
If you don't like one of them, to get the other one in.
But no matter what I vote right now, it's already it's going to be Clinton and it's going to be Trump. So I'll just have to vote in November if I want.
This is true.
So
fair enough.
Yeah, with all these different dates, it kind of sucks how we're like one of the last ones.
Yeah, that's true. But enough about politics and some more voting, I guess you could say, is voted unanimous MVP Steph Curry.
That's right.
The Golden State Warriors are off to quite the tear, I should say.
Yeah, they're definitely cruising along here in the NBA Finals. They're up 2-0 now over the Cleveland Cavaliers. Game 3 is going to start tomorrow, Wednesday, in Cleveland. And I think for the Cavaliers, they might want to quote a little Wizard of Oz here and say there's no place like home because they don't want to go anywhere near Oakland right now.
Oh, no. They collectively are losing by a pretty penny in both of these games.
I think Game 1 was around 15 points, and then Game 2, the score was 110-77. They lost by over 30.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not looking really, really good for them at all.
Oh, no, it's not. Let me check what the score is there for you. Give me 1 second, and I will tell you. Game 1 ended up being, 104-89. Closer score a little bit than I suppose the game showed. But, yes, Game 2, 110-77 on Sunday. What do you think? Like, do you think the Cavs have a chance of coming back from this?
After watching 2 games,
okay,
I predicted that the Warriors won in 7, and you said the Warriors in 6. I don't see how the Cavaliers have a chance at all in this series. Okay. I might give them the game tomorrow because they know their backs are against the wall and they're coming home. They've been really good at home this whole postseason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how they have a chance to win this series. Right now, I'll probably say I'll give them 1 game, maybe Game 3, and then call it a wrap.
Okay, and so what do you
5 games?
What do you think this means for the Cavaliers then?
I don't know. The whole talk leading into this finals was that they didn't have Kevin Love last year. Kyrie Irving got hurt at the end of Game 1 last year. LeBron carried them to 6 games by himself. What's it going to mean when they have the other 2 back? I don't think
it's looking worse.
It's looking way worse. Last year, the Cavaliers already won 1 game, and then they actually had a 2-1 series lead on the Warriors in the finals. That physically cannot happen this year.
Yeah.
So it's already worse, and it's the whole team is not stepping up. LeBron James is turning the ball over. He had 7 turnovers in Game 2. Kevin Love, he had that concussion. Who knows if he'll even be able to play in Game 3? And Kyrie Irving is not shooting the ball well at all.
Oh, no, he's not at all.
I mean, when I look at the Cavaliers play, they're really not doing it well on both sides of the ball. Their offense, they're not playing well. They're taking bad shots. They're doing a lot of one-on-one. Kyrie Irving's trying to do everything by himself. LeBron James trying to do everything by himself. Kevin Love is not really getting involved in the game. And then on defense, especially in transition, the Cavaliers just look lost. I don't know how many times the Warriors in transition find an open three, kick it into someone who gets an easy dunk, layup. They're just not even being contested at all. And we talked about it in last week's episode. What the difference would be in this series would be the role players of both teams. And you can obviously tell for Golden State, the role players are playing exceptionally well, and the Cavaliers' role players are not even in the game.
Yeah, no, I agree. We said one of the big things was Draymond Green couldn't have these games he had been having there in the Western Conference Finals, and he played very well last game, 28 points, 5 assists. You know, he had a lot of good plays. He kind of led the win last win. You know, he really led the team. He was 5 for 8 from 3-point, just very efficient. I mean, the whole team played well. Steph played pretty well for the most part, 18 points. Thompson had 17. Bogut, was only kind of his point of the offense in that sense, but Iguodala's playing decently well. Livingston came off the bench playing pretty well.
Yeah, especially in Game 1, he actually led them in scoring.
Yeah, exactly. So they're getting a lot of play from their bench too, as opposed to the Cavs aren't really, I would say.
Yeah.
Cavs, the highest scorer on their bench was Jefferson with 12, and they had 5, 7, 3, 3, and then a whole collection of 0 points from people that played minutes. It wasn't 0 minutes, 0 points kind of deal. Like these guys
they came
played
in
minutes.
Basically in garbage time in the fourth quarter there when the game was out of hand. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you have guys like Mozgov, who's only in there for 12. He had 12 minutes, but he only scored 5 points and 2 turnovers. You can't do that with limited time on the court. You have to be efficient with that time. So I think this is what do you think this what's working for the Warriors? Would you say
everything?
Okay.
Well, we talked about Draymond Green. I'd say right now, if the series were to end, he'd probably be the Finals MVP.
Okay.
Game 1, he played great. Game 2, he played great. He's really abusing the Kevin Love matchup there. We talked about Kevin Love being a really bad defender, and he's really not even showing it against Draymond Green how bad of a defender he is. He's showing even worse. So he's not even on the floor almost. What's working for the Warriors, like I said, literally everything. Offense, defense. The big thing is they're rotating defenders on LeBron James. They're bringing in Barnes to start off with. Then they go to Iguodala midway through the first quarter. He has probably one of the best hands in basketball. I feel like there's so many times LeBron's attacked the basket. Iguodala's just swatted out of his hands. And he's not fouling him. He's getting the ball. So,
And then you have Green playing defense on him, too.
Yeah, Green, Klay Thompson rotates in there. They're rotating fresh bodies on LeBron the whole time. And he's not really trusting his jump shot right now either. Everything is to the basket, and everything's getting blocked. Bogut's really played well. In Game 1, he had the offense going. In Game 2, he had 5 blocks. So everything's going great for them. The bench.
Yeah, he did. 5.
The bench between Barbosa and Livingston, I think they're shooting 21 of 26 combined through the first 2 games from the bench.
That's very good.
And it's crazy because the Warriors aren't even winning without Steph Curry. Steph Curry has not had a great 2 games. Game 2, he had 18 points. Game 1, 18. Him and Thompson really struggled. They had 20 points combined. So they're winning without their top 2 guys by lopsided margins. Just imagine if they were to put up 30 in Game 3. With how they're playing right now.
Mm-hmm. And then you going back to LeBron too, as you say, he's really getting defended well. He played 34 minutes on Sunday. He only had 19 points. He was 1 for 5 from 3-point range, and he was 7 for 17 from field goal range.
Yeah, with 7 turnovers.
With 7 turnovers overall. Understandably, he's getting bombarded out there by they're just throwing different looks at him every time they can. Every chance they get, they're really changing it up and shaking up what he's seeing out there. So I think what the difference for me, I feel like, is they're playing really good defense on somebody who isn't. He's used to getting these double teams, but he still gets his. He still makes it. Gets his score, and he's just not capitalizing. And I think if this leads up, I think they can sweep them.
Do you think they can honestly get swept? I don't see LeBron James-led team getting swept.
I didn't. But these first two games, it's like JV and varsity.
Yeah, I put this on Twitter the other day when I was watching Game 2. I felt like we already watched the finals between the Thunder and the Warriors, and then now we're just seeing kind of like postseason, like All-Star game.
We're watching the Pro Bowl right now.
Yeah, because I feel like all 7 of those games, well, I wouldn't say all 7, but maybe a couple of them were lopsided, but especially Game 5, Game 6, and Game 7 of that Warriors-Thunder series was, can't-miss basketball. I feel like if you watch these games, by the time halftime's over, by the time the third quarter ends, you're already switching to Game of Thrones. On Sunday...
Hey, don't talk about Game of Thrones.
On Sunday, by the time the third quarter ended, everyone was watching Game of Thrones. Like, there's no point to even watch the rest of the game, which is unfortunate because this is the finals. It's supposed to be the best 2 teams. It's supposed to be the matchup that you want, and yet you're seeing just one team totally dominate the other.
Yeah. I'm afraid that... Not afraid, like I'm scared. Like I feel like they could get swept.
I think Cleveland probably wins Game 3. Don't ask me how they're going to win Game 3 because I can't give you a definitive answer. But I think they probably win Game 3 because their backs are against the wall. They're returning home. I think that makes a big difference.
Okay.
But with the way the Warriors are playing right now, with the lack of defense Cleveland has, with the question mark with Kevin Love, with the concussion, I don't see how they win the series at all, and I don't see how they maybe even win 2 games.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and if you look at maybe a little mini dynasty with the Warriors, this is going to continue if they keep this formation, this group together. I don't see anyone that could really stop them, unless with free agency you get something drastic happen with how the Heat happened a few years ago. But the Warriors are just dominating, and they have such a young core. They're just going to continue to get better as long as they stay healthy.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Except for I feel like it's possible they get swept.
I definitely think it's a possibility. I mean, with the way the Warriors are playing right now, anything is possible. And like I said, even Curry is not even playing his best basketball right now. Thompson's so-so. Draymond Green's playing, like I said, like the MVP. And the bench is, if you were to give a team MVP, it'd be to the bench. So Barbosa, Livingston, Iguodala, they've been playing great. But, of course, it only goes to one guy. So if Curry can step up, he's not even playing that well, and they're dominating the series. Just imagine if he puts up his normal 30.
Yeah. I imagine if he has one of those games where he just demands all the attention.
Yeah, because Kyrie Irving he's a solid defender, but he's not Russell Westbrook.
No,
he's not bodying up Steph Curry. He's having to do a lot on offense. He's trying to do too much, and then they're just getting manhandled.
Yeah. We said that during the preview of the finals on Thursday. That's going to be he's done well enough, but they're not winning by their typical ways. So
yeah, they're definitely getting the production of the bench of the role players. Even like Bogut, I think Bogut had 10 points in Game 1, and Bogut's not in there for his offense. He's in there to rebound and block shots.
Yes, that's true. Bogut is not in there to
I think the Warriors had at least 7 players in double figures in Game 1. And we mentioned Curry and Thompson had their lowest total of all season when they played points-wise together. They only had 20 points combined in Game 1. The previous was 23. So in Game 1, they did everything without Curry and Thompson.
Yeah, Bogut had, 10 points. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, indeed, Ben.
And then Thompson had 9, so he's 1 point away from the 8th person in double figures in Game 1.
Yeah, they would have their whole starting 5 with double-digit points.
Yeah, Livingston, as we mentioned, led them with 20 points. Barbosa shot 5 of 5 in that game.
Iguodala had 12, 5 and 9. Excuse me, 50% for the 3-point line. He didn't attempt any free throws. But, yes, I 100% agree with you. I think this is I want to say the Cavs can take at least one game.
I'd say if they win a game, it's Game 3. Because it's their first time coming home. They have literally no momentum, but coming home give them just that little smidget of momentum. Mm-hmm. They're going to play in front of their home crowd. It's the finals. They're going to be riled. They're going to be...
I would say less momentum and more of just like a fresh kind of situation, I guess.
Yeah, like they're
a new
sort of like how the Sharks were when they went to Game 3 against Pittsburgh, which we'll talk a little bit about Stanley Cup Finals a little bit later. But yeah, I think Cleveland maybe wins Game 3. Don't ask me how. Like I said, I can't tell you how they even compete because the first 2 games were just totally lopsided. But maybe LeBron James just decides, okay, I'm LeBron. I'm going to carry them. I'm not going to let Iguodala knock the ball away from me. I'm going to put up 40 points and just sort of like how he carried them last year in the finals. Maybe he has one of those LeBron James games and sort of turns that switch on and just dominates. That's honestly the only way I see the Cavs mounting a comeback because the role players aren't playing well. J.R. Smith is not even in the series. Channing Frye is a great three-point shooter, but he can't play defense to save his life. Kevin Love's not there. Kyrie Irving's forcing too much shots. Tristan Thompson's not getting involved. They're just getting manhandled. It's not even a series.
It really isn't. It hasn't even looked like a series much at all. And that, I get what you mean about the whole, people, we already had the finals. But
I feel like that already happened.
Go ahead. Yeah, I think that was definitely the Western Conference Finals. But Game 3, like we said, is tomorrow in Cleveland, the first game in Cleveland of the series. They're there for 2 games, and then we'll see if they head back to Golden State. But it is tomorrow, and we will have that recap there for you on Thursday.
Yep.
But we're going to take a quick break here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. We'll be right back to talk about, as Ben said, the Stanley Cup Finals.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And welcome back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. We're going to go ahead and get into some Stanley Cup news here for you guys. Game 4, was last night. Penguins came out on top there 3-1. Did you watch the game, Ben?
I did. I watched the first 2 periods. I did not watch the third period because I transitioned to watch a couple other things.
Okay.
But I did watch the first 2 periods. This was the first game that was not decided by 1 goal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And obviously, Game 3 we did not talk about because we were gone. But Game 3, the Sharks came out on top with an overtime goal there. They won the game 2-1.
Well, I'd sure love to talk about Game 3.
Go for it. Obviously, I know you like the Sharks.
So,
good thing for you.
Well, it's not. I mean, I do enjoy hockey, and I guess the Sharks will be the team that I gravitate towards. But it's not as much of a sport that I am such a intense fan about. But what I've noticed is in the first 2 games, the Sharks just seem to not be capitalizing on their opportunities. Right?
Talking about the first 2 games in Pittsburgh, Game 1 and 2.
Yeah, Game 1 and 2. Game 3, the Sharks came out, first game at home. They looked like they had a whole new mindset. They were really, what it looked like is they were bullying the Penguins. Every chance they got, they were putting them in the boards. They were knocking their players down. They were really kind of setting a tone for the game, and that's one thing that the Penguins do lack is the physicality that the Sharks have. They're faster than the Sharks. They're, in my opinion, a better defensive team, which I'll get to in a minute. They're more opportunistic, I suppose, in times when they have the opportunity to score, they score. But the Sharks are always and have been so far this season much more of a physical team than the Penguins were. And in Game 3, they really came out and showed that. They were knocking guys down. They were just really, to the puck, just taking guys into the boards, knocking guys down any chance they got to get when they had the puck. And it really did set a tone for that entire game, which the Sharks, of course, like we said, did end up winning in overtime. But we fast forward to last night's game, and the physicality was there, but it was almost like it was physicality for the sake of physicality, like those guys that in football go for the big hit and give up a big play because all they were interested in was the hit.
Yeah.
There was times where they were so focused on, taking Malkin out or something that they completely left somebody wide open on a tear to the goal, And what my problem last night was with this game was the Penguins, every chance they got, they capitalized. They scored a goal in each one of the periods. The first
Malkin
goal,
really played well.
Malkin
he was
played
all over
great.
the place last night.
Well, I'll tell you who played really well was Matt Murray, the goalie for the Penguins. He played he's just amazingly well. He had 23 saves on, I want to say, 20 shots or 24 shots. Their defense was just suffocating. The Sharks had 20 giveaways.
That's a lot.
To 9 takeaways. They had, and you see, like I said about the hits, they out. In hits, they have obviously more 31-46 in the Sharks in favor, but the defense for the Penguins was really just all over the place. It was putting them in bad spots, and like I said, giving the puck away. They had these, like I said, they taking advantage of opportunities to score. Is in soccer, say you have a set piece, and the goal of the set piece is to eventually center it into the box and head it in.
Yes.
They set the set piece up, and so say that's the eventual goal for you. They go along it, and then they try to pass it out to the outside. They do something completely different, and they give it away. It's like they had these opportunities to go along with what you would assume is, I guess you could say, the intended thing, and then they go and do something else. Because their defense, the Penguins' defense, was playing so well, and they really were sort of just kind of swarming the puck whenever the Sharks had the ball. The puck. And it was... I feel like if I was more of a fan of a certain team, like say the Sharks, I would be insanely frustrated. But again, I'm not as huge into hockey as others I know. But it's just like they were beating themselves almost.
Yeah, the defense for the Penguins was really what set them apart last night. I mean, they got outshot, the Penguins did. They lost more face-offs. They got hit more, but yet they dominated the game and won by 2 goals.
Yeah, they only had 9 giveaways. They were efficient. And, I mean, that last goal, that was a good goal, but the Sharks were really pushing to score there.
Yeah, in the second period, the Penguins, I think they had like 2 or 3 shots that hit off the post, let alone. So they could have been even more of a lopsided game I was watching. It seemed like every time I turned around, all you heard was a ding as it hit off the post.
Well, that too.
Because the Penguins, so many more shots could have gone in there.
Yeah, that too with the Sharks is in the second period they had I want to say 2 shots that went off of the post, and they really had an opportunity to get some points there, and they really just didn't. One thing too I was telling my friend is that they just I don't know if I can find their power play. Yeah. Well, it only gives you the percentage. Pittsburgh scored on one of their 2 power plays. San Jose didn't. San Jose has looked so miserable on their power plays
all postseason,
all postseason, but especially the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
and they have just looked just not good. Like if I was telling my girlfriend last night, if there's one team that could be scored on their own power play, it's the Sharks in this Stanley Cup. And I honestly want to say that they did get scored on in one of theirs in a prior game.
Yeah, when you have the power play, that's when you really have to capitalize because you have the man advantage. That's when you have to really turn on the Jets there and get the goal, and they just could not do that. 0 of 2 last night.
And a typical power play you kind of see a lot of the time is, say the Sharks are on the power play. Let's say typically you would expect them to be in the Penguins' territory for most of it. At least a productive power play.
Right, containing the puck for those X amount of minutes someone's out.
Yeah, in their zone. And they were losing the puck in the neutral zone and all the way back to their goalie. It was almost just weird to watch how lopsided it was for them to be on their own power play and not even seem like they were controlling the puck for most of it. It was just really weird to me.
So what do you think? Do you think this is the last time we've seen the Stanley Cup here in San Jose for the year? Do you think that Pittsburgh closes out in Game 5?
If the Sharks keep playing like this, if they don't capitalize and keep giving the puck away, I think that they could close it out. Obviously, they can't close it out this next game, but the following game, I believe, right?
No, that's a 3-1 lead. So yeah.
So I'm sorry. If they win,
ironically, it's a 3-1 series lead, and last night they won 3-1. So, yeah, I think definitely that Pittsburgh has the advantage going into Game 5. They're going to be at home. They're going to try and close out the series. They really dominated them last night in San Jose with the defense. I think that Pittsburgh is definitely going to win Game 5. They have all the momentum right now.
Yeah. I think, if the Sharks play anything like they did last night on Thursday, Pittsburgh, they could easily close it out. It just hasn't been... It's
crazy because it's such a close series. Last night was the only game not decided by one goal. Game 2 and Game 3 went to overtime, so you can really go either way. This could be a 3-1 Sharks lead if you look at it.
Yeah, if they capitalize on those opportunities, in my opinion.
It's such a lopsided series if you look at the series wins wise, 3-1 for Pittsburgh, but every game except for last night has really been competitive. Just like you mentioned, the lack of capitalization there at the end has really hurt the Sharks.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that, this very well could have been the last game in California for them last night.
Yeah, I think that Pittsburgh closed out Game 5.
I find it, but as of right now,
I'd find it really, really surprising if the Sharks were to win Game 5.
They have to completely change up what they're doing, and I think just the defense has been swarming for Pittsburgh.
And they're going to have to do it on the road, which they lost the first 2 games in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and that crowd is just as loud as the Sharks have been on their home ice. So, I find it really, really difficult for the Sharks to turn this one around.
Obviously, I'm hoping for them to win. I'd love to see more Stanley Cup games go on. Mm-hmm. And I root for a Game 7 in every series because Game 7s are amazing, but I don't see it happening.
I don't either. But
who knows?
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
Like we said, the next game is going to be Thursday. So we will miss you guys on that one. We won't have a recap until this time next week on Tuesday. So
we might just be talking about a winner by then. Well, we will be, but anyway.
Well, games, yeah. Well, no, because if there's a Game 7, it would be that night. It would be Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Because Game 6, if necessary, wouldn't be till Sunday, and they always go in between. So it would be that night, actually. Yeah. So. When we talk to you guys on Tuesday, we'll either be talking about how Pittsburgh won this Stanley Cup, or we'll be talking about, oh my gosh, there's a Game 7.
Hopefully we're talking about the latter option there. I'd love a Game 7.
That'd be great. But I find it more likely the Sharks turn around than the Cavaliers. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Man, we already talked about it in the first segment, but the Cavaliers are just looking like a chicken with their head cut off. They look terrible.
Yeah, but... Again, we'll have to find out. But we'll take one more quick break here, and we have an update on the news from last week of some of the French Open. The finals that we had at the end of
the French Open is now concluded.
Yes, and we will tell you the winners of that in just a moment. We'll be right back. We'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back into the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Alongside Alex, I am Ben. We're going to jump in here with the last segment about the French Open, which now concluded over the weekend. We have our winners in the men's and women's brackets. Going into our last episode, we had the semifinal matchups, and now we have the winners here. So in the men's bracket, we had Djokovic coming out on top over the Englishman Andy Murray. Djokovic winning his first ever French Open, so he has now got the career Grand Slam. And in the women's bracket, we had Serena Williams, the American top seed, going up against Garbine Muguruza from Spain, who was number 4 seed. And once again, Serena Williams loses in the finals and does not tie Steffi Graf for 22 career majors.
What did you watch either match?
I did not get to watch either match. I did have to work, and the timing with in France is really hard here. You know, they're like 7-8 hours ahead of us. But I think it's interesting that Serena Williams was in the finals of the Australian Open and the finals of this last one, the French Open, and lost both of them.
Yeah, she's been on. It's almost like
she lost in straight sets too.
Yeah, it's
she
almost
didn't even
like,
win a set.
Yeah, it's like this. Like this 22nd major for her is just like this last
the one she can't get over.
Yeah, this last hump, and she can't get it yet, and it's been interesting to watch too. I find, and I mean she's been losing too in class. She often applauds her her competitors and all this and that. So at least she's losing. Well, I guess you could say, and it was close for the most part, but this isn't the first time they met one another either. Muguruza actually beat her the worst in her Grand Slam career, 6-2, 6-2 victory in the second round of the French Open in 2014.
Maybe it's just one of those things that she has her number, Muguruza over Williams.
And often I find too that you come across tennis players that are bad on one specific court, whether it be clay, whether it be hard court, whether it be grass. Some people just don't play the same. So it's interesting to see if that might be the case as well. Yeah, I mean, she has won French Opens before, so, but, sometimes you develop those things. I don't know. Do you think she's going to get that 22?
Yeah, she's the best women's tennis player in the world. You got to think she wins the Wimbledon or the U.S. Open.
But that's 3 in a row she's lost in. She lost in the semifinals of the U.S. Open to Roberta Vinci in September, and in the final of the Australian Open to Angelique Kerber in January, and then she lost to Muguruza. That's 3 in a row, and 2 finals in a row also, in Australian and then the French Open, and then of course the semifinals in the U.S. Open, which she sometimes doesn't play that well anyway.
I think she probably regroups here at Wimbledon coming up at the end of the month and wins that one. She's always been great at Wimbledon.
Well, we'll have to see.
I'm not sure if necessarily the pressure's getting to her or she's just playing a bad game of tennis at the wrong time, or I don't really know. I mean, to lose in straight sets, that's something you probably won't see again from Serena.
Yeah, true. And she did win Wimbledon last year as well. And that, again, was her number 21 of her majors. And that was her 4th major title in a row also. So I'm very interested to see what she does at Wimbledon. And then switching over to the men's side, as you were saying, Djokovic finally gets his French Open win.
Yeah, first time he's won it. He now has the career Grand Slam out of the way. He won Australian Open earlier in the year, so he's 2 out of 2 in the majors so far for the men's tennis.
There's a note here. It says, since losing the last final in France in 2015 last year, he's won 28 Grand Slam matches in a row, from Wimbledon to the U.S. Open last year to the Australian Open in January, and then now at the French Open finally.
Yeah, he's definitely on top of his game. We mentioned last week with the loss of Federer out of the tournament with an injury, and Nadal, who dominates clay, with an injury. He definitely was the strong favorite, and he really only had a tough matchup against Andy Murray in the finals there.
Yeah, and that's one thing also that he's going for too is he's trying to be the first since '69 to hold all 4 major titles simultaneously. When Rod Laver in '69 earned the calendar year Grand Slam, which is very impressive in and of itself. And then you look at Murray, who, as they say, is 2-8 in Grand Slam finals now, getting beat back-to-back ones, I believe, since winning Wimbledon a couple years ago. I don't know. I like Andy Murray. I do.
I feel really bad for Andy Murray. It seems like he's always on top of his game, then he has to go up against someone who's just a little better than him and always beats him.
Well, I mean, Djokovic has 6 titles from the Australian Open, which he clearly dominates every year in and out. 3 from Wimbledon and then 2 from the U.S. Open. He's got 12 total, which is right behind Sampras and Nadal, 14, and Federer. Those are the only people ahead of him in that amount.
Yeah, he's coming up there.
Yeah.
He definitely has a strong chance against Wimbledon coming up, and then the U.S. Open later in the year.
And we saw too that now Federer's apparently healthy for the Wimbledon finals, or at least the Wimbledon tournament. But we see also is Djokovic and Andy Murray. This is the 7th time they've faced each other, including Sunday's match. So Murray's only won twice there. He did beat him in Wimbledon, like I was saying, in the U.S. Open 2012, but every other time just happened to be the Australian Open and then French Open on Sunday that Djokovic just kind of handled his business and did win those finals. So I am very excited. I love Wimbledon. I do.
Yeah, Wimbledon. I think Wimbledon's probably the best of the 4 major tennis
It's
tournaments.
the most entertaining to me, and I like the grass. I feel like that'd be fun to play.
I love the ball boys.
You see the people sliding. Do you?
They're so quick and fast. I feel like they have to train for that.
They don't let just anybody.
Yeah, you
b-ball
can't just
boys
walk
or ball
on
girls.
there.
Yeah, you can't.
They're phenomenal.
Yeah, you don't just
especially
let
at Wimbledon
do
though. I don't know what it is, but something about there.
It's more royal.
Maybe that's it. And what do you think about the trophy? They get like a dish.
It's like a big cup, dude. You know the plate.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
You like that?
It's like, do I eat off of it or do I not eat off of it?
It's like, do I put my salad in it or do I just put it on the wall?
Well, no, you put it in one of those.
Do I use it as a frisbee or? No, I'm just kidding.
Start playing frisbee right there.
So what do you think? Do you think Djokovic can get the Grand Slam this year? Think he can win the next two?
I think it's going to be tough for him to do it at Wimbledon this year with a strong field he's coming into. But as we said, it's not like he hasn't won at Wimbledon before. He has, He has 3 from Wimbledon already in his career. So I think he could do it, but that Murray, it plays great at Wimbledon.
Yeah, he's got the home crowd there as well.
Yeah, he did win in, like we said, in 2013. And then Federer coming back, you never know with Federer.
Yeah, you can never count out the Swiss.
You can't, especially him.
Yep.
He's
a legend.
General,
he's a legend.
Yeah, so super interested to see that.
I'm going to say he does it.
You think?
I think it'd be great for sports, too. I'm going to say he does it.
Who do you think he beats in the final?
Of Wimbledon?
Yeah, I got my guess.
I'm going to go with Murray again.
Serena Williams.
You're talking about the mixed doubles then, right? I mean,
yeah.
No,
I could totally. Yeah, I could see.
I'm going to go with Murray again.
Well, see, that would add to a great storyline where I would sit there and say, doesn't Murray win that one this time? So
Federer's coming back, but is he going to be back in game shape? Is he going to be completely healthy? Who knows? Mm-hmm. He's going to play in the tune-up tournament. Nadal, who knows if he'll be there or not? He's still trying to recover from the wrist injury. So
yeah, he's skipping out on that tune-up game at least that was supposed to happen this week, I believe. I don't know if he's going to miss the entire the tune-up little tournament they have.
Yeah, the little warm-up. But I'm going to say he does it. I think it'd be great. It'd be great for sports, and it'd be awesome. I think I hope he does it. It'd be nice. Mm-hmm. He's a really good player, and he would tie then Sampras and Nadal, as you mentioned, with 14. And who knows, maybe he can eventually catch Federer with 17.
Well, he's got 12 total now.
Yeah, so if he wins the next 2, he would tie.
Yeah, he would tie Nadal and Sampras, and then Federer, of course, with the 17. And you can never count out, the all-time leader in Grand Slam titles. So
yeah. As we mentioned, he's a legend. He's a legend.
But super excited for that.
All right, Alex, so we're going to close out the show here with a little sad news now because
what do we have?
Over the weekend and last night, we had 2 guys, both in the combat boxing, MMA sports, who had passed away. Obviously, the bigger one was Muhammad Ali last week. Passes away at the age of 74.
I did see that. Yeah.
A long 32-year battle with Parkinson's disease. And then last night we had MMA, YouTube, what do you want to call him? YouTube sensation more?
That's what he started out as.
Yeah, I know he did the street fight and then he transitioned into some MMA. But Kimbo Slice passes away at 42 years old due to undisclosed reasons. Yeah. So what do you, first off, let's start with Ali. What do you know about Muhammad Ali? What do you remember about him?
What don't I know about Ali? I mean, I'm not like an expert, but I mean, Muhammad Ali is one of the greatest of all time. We talked about it in the football podcast as well. He was transcendent in what he did, and just a pop culture icon through years and years after he even fought. Just showed you what he did when he was fighting, and somebody that unfortunately had to go through that long fight with Parkinson's and kind of saddened me in a sense. Obviously, not to say it selfishly, but one thing I could have wished to see was him while I'm alive, see that talking he did. That he was so good at.
Yeah, he was best. I think he was probably his best promoter.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And just to see the things he did that were so, they're today still talked about. So definitely somebody that is going to be missed.
Yeah, we're both younger guys. We didn't obviously see him fighting. We weren't even alive yet. But
not even close.
The greatest of all time, as you mentioned, the best talker, and he backed it up.
He did.
Literally said the greatest of all time. It's sad that he had to go out this way and not on his own terms. Mm-hmm. He was in the hospital for a long time. He wasn't doing too well down there in Arizona as he winded down his life. Mm-hmm. So it's sad that he has to go out this way, but he's, heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Muhammad Ali might be dead, but he's never going to be dead in sports, in the world of boxing. Mm-hmm. He's always going to be there.
Live on for forever.
Yeah. So, and then we move on to Kimbo Slice here. Obviously, more of a shocking, surprising death last night. Just came out of the blue.
Yeah, no, I saw it online. Yeah, and that's crazy to see, and I feel bad for his family and everything like that, and his friends, and I hope that it wasn't something that kind of was a dark side to him. So hopefully, there was some kind of good there. So that's sad to hear, and condolences to both families.
Absolutely. Rest in peace, both of them.
Yeah.
I didn't really know anything about Kimbo Slice until he transitioned into Strikeforce, which was some of his first MMA. That's when I really found out about him. That's when the legend of Kimbo Slice, I guess, was sort of built up there, because he had sort of the underground YouTube street fight sensation. He was actually homeless, and the way he made money was fighting people, which you can consider it as the same thing as MMA or boxing now, but on a street fight sort of sense is a little different there.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, as an MMA fighter, he really didn't have the greatest career. But to come from homeless to the UFC, like, that's literally what Kimbo Slice did.
Yes.
That you got to have something there.
It's a form of the American dream, I guess you could say.
In a way, I guess you can say that. It may not have worked out for him, but just to get there, just to get all the way to the billion-dollar company of the UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship, you can't be a bum and be in the UFC.
That's true. And he clearly didn't look like a bum, except for that beard.
He was as strong as an ox, dude. And he died at 42, which is really young in sort of a age circumstance. But he was fighting into his mid-30s, 40s, and he still was, solid, rock solid.
Yeah, he really was. And like I said, it's going to be sad to see him go. He was an entertaining guy.
Yeah, he was, everything I hear, he was really a humbling man, really professional. Outside of the cage, outside of the ring, he was a great guy, really respectful. So definitely sad to see those people go.
Me too. But as is life, I suppose.
Yeah, you got to go sometime.
Yeah. And
I hate to put it that way, but
yeah, on that note, I guess we got to go.
Yeah, there's only two guarantees in life, and it's death and taxes. So
true. And this podcast.
And this podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, in the worst way of saying it, I guess we got to go. We got to end the podcast here.
I guess that's going to be it for us today, Alex.
Yeah. We will be back with you guys on Thursday again, talking about Game 4 or 3 of the NBA Finals.
Game 3.
Game 3, thank you, in Cleveland. And we will see if the Cavs are on the brink of elimination there. And we will talk to you guys again on Thursday. Thank you so much for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. You can find us online, of course, at GSMCpodcast.com, Twitter at GSMC_sports, and on Facebook at Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and on iTunes. If you search GSMC, you can find all of the great shows on our network. And
they're all great.
Yeah, of course, and you'll find the sports show as well. So as always, I'd like to thank you guys. I am Alex.
And I'm Ben.
And we will see you guys on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was in unison. I like it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.